into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Love this song. It gets me pumped and motivated and ready to work out. I am your host, Fallon Mercedes. Thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. This is the season finale recap, kind of the whole season of Fit to Fat to Fit on A&E Season 1. We are going to give you the rundown of the whole season because the show did finish, but we have so much to talk about. You guys can find me online at fitwithfallon.com and on the show. I am one of the trainers on the show. And I am here with my fitness expert, Shaka. How you doing?
Great. Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shaka Strong.
All right, I got to take a sip of this water because we have so much to talk about, like I was saying. So if you guys haven't watched, I will kind of run down the premise of the show. It's a little unordinary and very different from the show that Shaka and I usually host together with for Biggest Loser. So on Biggest Loser, all the contestants lose the weight. The trainers just kind of beat them up. On this show, it's a little different because the trainers also have to lose the weight, gain it first, and then lose it with their clients. So I originally read the book that the show kind of was based off of, and it's by trainer Drew Manning. He wrote a book a couple years ago. He had a client who he couldn't really understand, empathize, or sympathize with after he quit on him. So he said, you know what? Let me see what it's like to be in an obese person's shoes. So for 6 months, he didn't work out. He ate the typical American diet, and he ballooned up to about 75 pounds. And then he documented the whole process. He blogged about it and then wrote about it in his book. And he just learned so much about himself and, you know, the different, I guess, things that come with being obese, the depression, the fatigue, the, you know, health issues. He had, you know, a fatty liver, kidneys of an alcoholic. And this is all just from not working out and eating unhealthy for 6 months.
Yeah, and my hat's off to you for doing that because there is absolutely no way I could do it. I was saying the minute I lost abs, I'd say, no, I can't do it. It's a difficult physical thing, but it's such a difficult mental thing. How did you deal with the mentality of it all?
You know, my experience was a little unique, and if you watch the show, you will kind of see my background. I'm half Latina, Dominican, and I feel like that part of my family, we kind of embrace curves. And I train a lot of clients, and I tell them, you know, you have to love yourself during the process. So I couldn't, you know, I had to practice what I preached. Yeah. How could I not love myself at my biggest? I'm still the same person on the inside. I still have the same soul. And I feel like I had to, it was a hurdle, a mental hurdle. But for me, it was more health issues that I had a hard time struggling with. I don't know, should we talk about it now or later?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So for me,
we want to know what happened.
So for me, you know, I was fatigued, a little bit depressed, tired all the time. And it was funny because at night, to this day, I have to like sleep on a sleeping pad because I get so cold. A heating pad because I get so cold. And when I was overweight, I would burn up sweating at night because I had so much fat. It was like I was a little bear, like it was a little heater. But other than that, it also affected my menstrual cycle. I was getting my menstrual cycle every 2 weeks. So it was really scary for me because I don't have any children currently, and I so want to be a mom, hopefully, you know, in the next couple of years. So for me to do this project and think I might be jeopardizing that opportunity, I felt like, whoa, this might not be worth it. So I almost tapped out, but we had doctors on staff who would watch us. We got our blood taken every 2 weeks. And, you know, the doctor told me, although this is not something I would recommend for you to do long term, because it's short term, you know, just as quickly as your body changed, you know, you'll bounce right back once you start working out and eating clean.
So you did it in the best way possible.
Yes, I did. And for such a short term. So yeah, it was quite the experience. And the other trainers on the show, you know, they didn't have the same exact experience as I did, but it was really interesting to see the different things that they did go through. We all kind of had our own issues. Some, you know, they couldn't mentally deal with the physical change. You know, one, he had, you know, he had almost heart issues because of it. I don't want to say like what didn't happen, but he struggled. So we all kind of went through. So it was very, very interesting.
Well, I'm envious to a certain degree, because one thing
I'm getting fat.
One thing I always hear is like someone who's in fitness and fit is you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know what it's like to lose the weight. And it's just a fortunate accident of having always been in sports and fitness. So I can't imagine having to gain the weight to try to lose it back again. And the health issues would probably kill me.
What I'll tell you right now is that you would make a great trainer on the show to do this, because you're saying you couldn't do it. You could. You have that athlete mentality, and I feel like that was one thing that really helped me. I grew up as a competitive gymnast, so it was so like, I don't know. I kind of liked it at first. I think if I didn't have a certain number and body fat percentage to obtain, I probably would have stopped previously. But because I knew that I had to gain 40% or get up to 40% of my body weight, I knew I had to keep on going. I had broke it down every week, how much I needed to gain, how much calories I needed to consume every day. And even though my body didn't respond as quickly, it was motivating to have, I guess, a number in front of me. And then it was fun to, you know, finally get it off and get back down.
And another question I had for you was, with the different trainers and their clients, how well did you get to know any of these people?
You know, what's funny is we unfortunately shot all over the country. So I only got to know one of the trainers, and it wasn't even until after we were done shooting. The producers were so protective. They did not want us talking to each other, seeing what's going on, swapping like what's working, what's not working. So we would like secretly like on Instagram like message each other so we really didn't get to know each other during it. But as soon as filming stopped, we were allowed to contact each other. So now we're kind of like a family. Like, you know, we talk almost every day. We're actually going to meet up in Utah in July for a Spartan race together, because we haven't all physically met. Me and Alex, because he's the other LA trainer on the show, we've met, we've become friends. You remember him? I brought him on Biggest Loser after show. And then Drew, he was awesome. They flew him out. He didn't make my episode, but they flew him out for the finale, the final weigh-in for my episode, which was cool. So I got to meet him actually more than once. So I will meet the rest of the crew in July as we race together.
Well, I gotta ask, you put in so much work to gain all that weight and then to lose it again, and you had a client that quit on you.
Yeah.
When you watched these other episodes, did you have any favorite clients that you wish you would have had?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think every client, I'm like, I want her, I want him. It was funny because...
Who's your favorite?
Oh, there's so many. I think everybody fell in love with Ray. The first episode was JJ and Ray. Like, I honestly, watching the first episode, and I don't know if the other trainers on the show had this experience, but I really got emotional because it was like I was reliving that experience again. Like, I remember meeting my client for the first time and being so excited and hearing his story of why he needed to lose the weight. And then you know, seeing JJ struggle with gaining the weight and how it affected his relationship and different areas of his life, I'm like, oh, I can relate. And then seeing his client, you know, calling him his hero, his, you know, somebody he looks up to, and then seeing that bond created. And then at the end, he had, well, every episode except mine has a graduation day where they weigh in front of the family and everybody celebrates. And I got really emotional because I'm the only episode that didn't have that, you know, and it just was so hard, you know, I wanted it so bad for my client, and I cried in my episode. I'm not going to cry now, but it just, you know, I wanted it, you know, 4 months of gaining my weight. I was constantly thinking of him. Like, if I can't,
for him,
exactly. If I can't pack this on for him, he's not going to lose it for me. And I just put so much heart and energy and, you know, even my health at risk. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
But he lost some good weight.
Yep. So one thing that they didn't show on my episode, I got him to lose 20 pounds a month prior to us starting to train. And they said that he lost 20 pounds. But really what I did, because my client, he stepped on the scale and I was told he was 375. When I put him on the scale, he was 455.
Wow. How did that happen?
He had not weighed himself for over 10 years.
Ah, got you.
So he didn't even know how much he weighed. So I was able to give him a nutrition plan alone so he could lose some of the weight before he saw me, because, you know, my goal of 100 pounds in 4 months turned into, now we're trying to get him down 175 pounds, which is it's unrealistic. So in total 55 pounds before he quit on me, which was great. I got him down just to the 400 mark. I believe he was at 402 and he had not been under 400 in 10 years. So, and then he unfortunately quit on me. So
have you had any follow-up?
No. You know, I went back and forth about reaching out to him, and I wanted to, but I feel like I went above and beyond constantly. And I think that's the reason why he lasted so long with me, was because I was constantly going above and beyond, kind of coddling him. And, you know, he wouldn't drive to me for a workout. So I was constantly driving only to him. Sometimes he didn't want to meet. So I was doing Skype workouts. You know, he was skipping workouts. So I was like trying to give him workouts, but then he was gaining weight and not following the nutrition plan. And I got to the point where I was just like, either you're going to meet me all the way or not. And I told him, I said, maybe you need to think about this. What they didn't show in my episode, he was supposed to meet me at the park that following Monday, because I told him, think about it. And I was waiting at 6 a.m. and he didn't call me. He didn't text me. He didn't say, hey, I decided I'm not going to go. Thanks for all your help anyway. It was no show. So I just felt like the ball was definitely in his court. I told him, think about it. Let me know if you want to meet me here. And he didn't. So I feel like you can only, you know, what's that saying? You could bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that's what I felt like. You have to be psychologically ready.
It's such a difficult thing to be ready to lose the weight.
It's not just physically ready. So enough about my episode. We could kind of dive into it a little bit more later, but let's talk about everybody else's episode. So again, back to the first episode, JJ and Ray. I feel like this was the perfect episode to open up the show. He had so much heart, JJ, and all the trainers, we all kind of throw him under the bus because he cried so much. What do you feel about, you know, a trainer actually, especially a guy trainer, opening up, being vulnerable, crying on national television?
Well, it's sort of like the little debate we had about Jen and Dalvet from The Biggest Loser. What was a better approach? Jen kind of went in with a friendly approach. Dalvet kind of went in as like the military kind of style approach. You know, I think if opening up allows your client to invest in you, I think that's what it's all about. So it's about your client, meaning your investment in them, is, you know, a great line from The Biggest Loser. And I think that was a method to get his client to invest in him as well.
Yeah, makes sense. And we also had these diary cams. So even before he got to train his client, he was emotional, but it just kind of showed you how real it was. I hated those diary cams while filming. Oh my goodness. But, you know, it really got us to open up and talk about the real issues, things that we were struggling with, things that were really going on. And it felt weird after we were done taping, because I'm like, wait, I don't have to tape every moment. I don't have to talk about, you know, what it's like afterwards. And it was very, very intense. So for Ray, I think why I fell in love with him and everybody else was he, you know, worked for he wasn't an officer. I think he was a dispatcher, but he had such a big heart, and he wanted to have children, but I believe him and his wife, you know, they felt like they weren't ready to adopt. They want to adopt, but one of the reasons why he said he believed he wasn't ready to adopt was because who would want fat parents, basically.
And it's important to be able to keep up with your children and to, you know.
And, you know, it made me feel so bad when I heard that, because I'm like, does that really have an effect? Like, I know plenty of overweight parents who are still good parents, or are they really good parents? What do you think?
Well, I think you can absolutely be a good parent, a great parent, in fact. But do you miss out on those moments when your kid wants to play and you can't? Do you miss out on those moments when there's a sports event that, you know, maybe a father-son thing and you want to be involved and you can't be? So while you can be a great parent, no matter what weight you are, I think as a parent, you want to do everything and at least be available for everything. And you don't want something like your weight holding you back.
No, you're right. Yeah, I totally understand.
And you model for your kids, too.
Yeah.
So your kids do what you do, and they see what you do. And if you're not in a healthy state of mind, and if you're eating poorly, then they're going to eat poorly.
Yeah, no, I get it. One thing I tell my clients that I train now, I tell them all the time, you know, especially if they have kids or they're married, you know, what you're doing, people are watching you. Like, one of my girls, everybody at work is now working out with her at the gym.
Yeah.
Because she inspired so many people. And it's like your kids, your coworkers, your partner, everybody is watching. So if you can, you know, teach them, inspire them, you can also change their life while you're changing yours. So I can.
And I think the biggest part about being a parent is being around for as long as possible, and the thought that your weight might prevent you from being there for your kids in the future.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's one of the things you want to get under control.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. All right, so we only have an hour, so we have to get through these episodes. So we're going to go into the second episode. That was Steve and Tasha. Tasha's another favorite of mine. Tasha, you know, people were just on social media. She's a beauty. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. I mean, she was beautiful before, but when that weight came off,
such a difference,
everybody was like, she is beautiful. She's a bombshell. So it was really nice to see, like, just somebody's like just
inner beauty reflect,
and then even her confidence. And you know, we went from Ray, who was a guy, so it was nice to see you know, a girl and the different things that she went through as a client on the show. Steve himself, he and his wife own a gym. I think it's in Florida, and you know, he's super, you know, just the typical gym, you know, guy. And he had this one vein that everybody talked about. It was, they were even naming the vein in his arm, but when he got fat, you couldn't even see the vein in his arm anymore. It was crazy. And then the vein came back.
And that's the scary thing. You see just how quickly and how dramatically the body can change.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It was insane. And then what I loved about Steve, that he had hit his weight loss goal even before Tasha did, his client. But what he did to keep her motivated, he continued to lose more weight. And it was to the point where I was like, all right, Steve, you're a little too skinny now. But that's how dedicated he was to his client. He did not, because, and this is mostly, men do lose weight quicker than women in most cases. So the fact that he was so committed to her to keep going, I was just like, you know, a round of applause for Steve. That is dedication.
Yeah, he knew the importance of that modeling even for his client.
Yeah, yeah. So that episode was another, I mean, again, I know I did the show, and I'm not being biased, but I really love this show. Every episode, you kind of go through this emotional roller coaster with each trainer and each client.
Because usually it's just one person of that duo going through a real emotional journey. You know, the trainer's not also having to pack on the weight and to lose it and psychologically get in their own head and realize, oh my God, my client is going through a lot of this too. So I think that you got that extra dose and fit to fat to fit. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. So they went from Florida up to Brooklyn. So in Brooklyn, it was Adonis and Alyssa. And one thing that I loved about Adonis was his New York accent. My accent is so bad. I'm from Boston. Sorry if I messed that up, Adonis. But his accent was he was just so charming and loving. Him and Alyssa were such a good team. My mom would watch the show and she would call me and she'd be like, they should date. He should date her. They make such a cute couple. But chemistry, he had such a good bond with her, you know, and we got into a little bit of controversy when Adonis brought Alyssa to the graveyard to work out. He worked out in the graveyard, and some people, you know, they felt like it wasn't respectful. But for me, when I watched it, I took it as this is being realistic. If you continue on this path, you will not have the long life that you should have, that you want to have. You're not going to live as long as, you know, you should be with such a, you know, high body fat percentage and everything that else comes with it.
Yeah, it's jarring, but it's so important. It's so necessary because we definitely have this mentality, especially in this country, of fix it after there's a problem.
Yes.
And we really need to get to that place where we are doing things preventatively.
Yeah.
And so you need that message. You need to be jarring sometimes because it's her life. You know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think we also, we take other illnesses or diseases more seriously. You know, even for anorexic or bulimic, you know, if you have or know somebody with that issue, you would say, you know, you need to get help. You need to see a psychologist. But when it's somebody who's severely obese, it's, well, you need to stop eating. You're lazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't have the same amount of sensitivity towards obese people that I feel like we need to have. And even me, when I started the show, you know, I was a little, you know, I was empathetic, but not as much after I went through that experience. And I know that was the point.
Yeah, there's this idea that it's a choice that you're constantly making. And while it is a choice to a certain degree, there is a source of behavior that you've been patterned to to do. So it's almost like an addict in some ways.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
If we treat it like addiction, then I think we'll be able to go further in this country in terms of like getting people the help they need and being respectful to one another.
I agree. If there was one thing, you know, if I was a gym owner, what I would do, I would not only have, you know, a nutritionist, trainers, I would also add a psychologist component to that facility, because I feel like we don't have that. It's either you go to the gym or you go to the surgeon. Yeah. You know, you go get that lipo, tummy tucks, you know, stomach stapled. There's no in between. And I feel like we need a psychologist in there.
Yeah, and even at the other end of the spectrum, there are people that are extremely fit, but they're far addicted to what they're doing.
Oh, yes.
They're spending 7 hours in the gym.
See that.
Their relationships are falling apart as a result.
Yes.
So it's on both sides of the coin, too.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so one more thing about Adonis. So he was one of the trainers who, I think he might have been the only trainer who this had happened to. He had packed on the weight so much. He had gained so much weight that it started affecting his health, his heart, his cholesterol, that the doctor actually prescribed him to stop. I believe he gained over 60 pounds in that short amount of time. And the doctor said, you're going to have severe health issues. You need to stop. So, you know, he only stopped a week early, so, you know, I'm going to give it to you, Adonis. You still did it. You know, you went above and beyond, but that just shows you, again, how committed, you know, these trainers are to their clients. And one thing that we learned about Adonis prior to all this, he was severely overweight. He was over, I don't know if he was up to 400 pounds, but he was pretty big before. And the thing that saved him was walking. he just started walking, and that walking 1 block turned into 2 blocks to 3 blocks, and that changed his life. And then eventually he was even an EMT at one point, and then he got so inspired to help people that he decided, hey, I'm going to become a trainer. So right now Adonis has his own campaign going on. He's going to walk across America
to
awesome. Inspire people to get up and walk.
And it's just one step at a time.
And that's what it is.
And yeah, it's so great that he was able to kind of bring that message that it's just one step at a time.
Like, I just got goosebumps because he is just so dedicated. If people would get up and walk, and I will meet him somewhere, but probably won't be as far as New York, but I'm going to walk with him. Exactly. I'll go from Hollywood Boulevard to Woodland Hills. I think that's a good walk. But I have shin splints, so it's my shin splints. That's why. But yeah, kudos to Adonis. He did such an amazing job. I mean, every episode just has something that just gets you emotionally attached for different reasons. So.
Yeah, I like the docuseries style.
I
think that makes you really invest in everybody.
I really wish that we lived in a house, but I think shout out to Dan Portland, Drew Manning, and all the other producers on the show, because the way they set it up, you got invested into that trainer and the client. I feel like if we were in a house, it would have been kind of bits and pieces and all over, and you don't get the full story that you need.
And you might get, the other drama that's extraneous to the goal at hand. Yeah,
exactly.
It might be interesting to watch, though.
No, there was still drama, but it wasn't other trainer drama infecting the other trainers. Exactly. So up next, we move to Alex and Geoff. Alex, who we had on the after show for Biggest Loser, he is the other LA trainer, and he's also a dietitian. So that was, another component to the show. Like, so when we were getting their blood labs, Alex was actually reading his clients' blood labs and able to. He really worked the nutrition component, and I feel like that's why we saw such a dramatic change in his client at the end. I think he lost over or at least 100 pounds, and to this day he has kept it off.
Because nutrition, it's really like 90-10, 80-20, somewhere along those lines. Your diet is the most important factor when it comes to losing weight.
No, it is.
Yeah, working out, staying in shape, that's like icing on the top of the cake.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But you really got to get that diet. So having that knowledge and that base and being able to use it to get his client to lose weight, brilliant.
Yeah. And Alex, one thing that was interesting about him is he was, open about his relationship, and they even showed him like yelling and arguing and fighting in the car with his girlfriend, and at one point they broke up and then they got back together. But that's what the weight will do to you. He said for him, it was like he was a different person. He wasn't himself. He was like the rest of us, getting depressed, and
changes chemicals in your brain.
Oh, it definitely does. So it was interesting to see that in this episode. We didn't see that too much in other episodes, but it was real. It was authentic. I just love the transparency in this episode in particular.
Yeah, I mean, we know that working out has been associated with positive mood. We know that endorphins get released. And if you're doing this daily, you're going to be in general happier. Yeah. So if that is something you prescribe not to do,
exactly,
all of a sudden, it not only is your health affected, but your mental is really affected.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right, sorry, I got to get through this. Next up, we have in the ATL, Mr. Corey, and I don't know how to pronounce his client's name. Raella. But Corey, all the ladies loved Corey. He's such a cutie. He has his own gym, and in the gym he has like his own mural of himself on the wall, and he was just gangster with it. Like, you see him in opening up the episode like with the ropes and like just going hard, and I'm like, oh geez, like if there was any trainer out of all the trainers that looked like would kick your butt, I mean they all did, but Corey looked intense, and even Raella, she was just saying like he would clap real loud all the time and yell, but he should run for mayor, Corey, when you in a couple years you should run for mayor. He was just so motivating. He's great with his words, inspiring people, but it was very interesting to see him go from his six-pack, and he knows he looks good too. So it was interesting to see him go from his six-pack to his keg pack. And, I imagine it affected his business as well, because it affected all of our business when we gained weight. But he was committed to her, and I loved it. And she, again, like everybody else, she did an amazing job. I love the scene. He was literally in the car and making her pull the car. He put it in neutral and I'm like, dang it.
And a lot of
she
times,
was putting in that work. I'm like, Corey was making her work.
And it showed her what she could do. You know? When you see these things, all of a sudden for yourself, it makes you more motivated to continue going. You're doing something you've never thought you'd ever even find yourself in a situation doing.
So it was awesome to see them working out together, him inspiring her. And then, of course, he got his six-pack back. So he's back to fit Corey. Next up, we have Mac and Mateo. So Mateo was a chef. He owns his own restaurant in New York. And Mac, she trains in New York. And again, I love the accent in New York. That's like my favorite part. And so for Mac, her gaining the weight, which was, I think, different from the rest of us girls trainers on the show, even though there was a few of us, it affected her psychologically and physically. I know I was experiencing a lot of nausea. I was experiencing a lot of headaches. And
every 2 weeks?
And my menstrual cycle every 2 weeks.
That's crazy to me. Wow.
So when she was explaining all the issues she was having, she was sick all the time. And then I think psychologically the weight was, getting to her. She actually, I think she gained like 30 plus pounds. She gained some weight. But a week before her final weigh-in, she stopped gaining the weight. She said that she couldn't do it. She couldn't gain the next 10 pounds. But what I liked about Mac is that she was very open and honest. She even felt bad, and would tell her client, I'm sorry I didn't gain all the weight. And I loved that her client was like, no, I get it. You did this much. That's good enough. Like those last couple of pounds, it's okay. Like and you're doing it for me. Exactly. So it was nice to see her be real, vulnerable, and then to see the client pick her up. And then she was able to get in there and get him to where he needed to be. So that was, I think, another fan favorite that everybody loved was, I think we even fell in love with Mateo, her client. He was just, he did not want to give up his bacon for anything, which was very interesting. I get it. He's a chef, but it was just so nice to see those relationships develop.
I love that realness and that rawness. So did the producers engage you guys in that? Did they say just pour your heart out, be more emotional, or?
Well, I think where the producers really hit gold was with those diary cams. We literally had to submit our little cards every week, and they needed to be full. So they didn't tell us the content that we had to put on there. They wanted us to explain how we felt, what we were eating, but
naturally you just...
Exactly. So you picked up that camera, and whatever you were going through, whatever was on your heart, your mind, that's what and they would encourage you, bring it with you. So I would bring it to the beach with me when I was with my friends, and I'd be there eating potato chips while they played volleyball, or so it was really attached. It was always in my purse, always in my car, just had to be natural, live your life, but bring that camera around with you. So
awesome.
All right, next up we have, who's next? Carrie and Kenley. Kenley loved her. Carrie, again, loved her too. So I think they were in Utah. So Kenley, what I liked about her was she was such a dedicated mom, wife. But this is what I see in so much of us women, is that we often give so much of ourselves to our clients, our family, our, children, spouse, work, that we don't have anything left for ourselves. So I think that was the case in Kenley. She was such a great mom that she had very little to love herself with. So with Carrie, she was able to really pull that out of her. And it was funny because some people were kind of saying that Carrie was a little bit selfish in the sense when she was losing the weight, because Carrie packed on the pounds, and it affected her just like all of us. But when she was losing the weight, she was losing at a faster rate than her client. And I mean, she was killing it. Her first workout, she was doing everything that she was able to do, 4 months prior. I was surprised because I couldn't do half the stuff. So she was killing it, but it almost seemed like, and it made us feel like the viewers, that Kenley was kind of left behind. Yeah. And Kenley voiced that. And, I liked how they worked it in where, it seemed a little selfish. But then at the end, Carrie was teaching her, hey, sometimes you have to be selfish. For if you want this for yourself, you can't wait around for other people. You got to get up and get it.
And that was the lesson she needed.
Yeah, and that was the lesson she needed. So I liked how you got to see both ends of that, you know. And I think it was a lesson for all of us. That's something that we all sometimes forget to do. When you love hard and you give hard, you got to remember you have to love yourself and give to yourself first, and then you'll have enough to give to other people without being empty.
So when you were in your episode, was there a point you felt you could have lost weight faster, but you wanted to kind of lose it slow to kind of keep pace with your clients?
Oh, no. My weight was so slow. I was... Every week, I'm just like, man, and it's crazy because as a trainer, you know all the tools, the tricks, the tips, and it just frustrated me that I have all the knowledge, I have all the tools, yet I couldn't speed up the process faster than, the normal person. On average, I lost 2 to 3 pounds per week. Yeah. The first week you lose the most. I think I lost like 7 pounds, and then I went down to like 1.5 pounds, and then 2 pounds, and 3 pounds, and 1 pound. And so for me, I was giving it my all. I wasn't waiting for nobody. I mean, I was trying to help my client, but definitely wasn't waiting around for him. All right, next up we have, I guess, me. So I kind of, in the beginning talked about my episode. I guess I will say, I guess more from JD's perspective. He did work hard. He gave it his all in the beginning. But again, psychologically, he just wasn't, ready. And 55 pounds, he did it. But what was unfortunate was after we were done filming, 2 months later, they caught up with him because he had to finish out filming. It was part of his contract. Even though he stopped training, he still had to at least film. So it was just sad because even I, watching the episode, I'm like, oh my goodness, did he gain weight? Did he lose weight? And I was truly hoping that he lost weight, because even if I didn't help him, I wanted him to at least, maybe that would be the seed
kickstart,
exactly. And when he got on the scale and he gained 10 pounds, it just broke my heart even more.
What do you think is the mentality or psychology behind the fact that you're losing this weight, it's working, and then you quit?
Yeah. I think sometimes mentally we can't see ourselves where we want to be. So I feel like sometimes we self-sabotage our own self. And I feel like for him, when I was training him, I would say, 100 pounds. Can you see yourself 100 pounds lighter, kid? And it was almost as if he didn't believe himself. But I could understand because even when they told me I was going to gain 40 plus pounds, I could not see my butt 40 plus pounds. Like literally, I thought I was going to gain maybe 25 pounds. Yeah. And that was it. And then you
hit a wall.
I honestly thought that I would only gain 25 pounds and I would try to believe, okay, I'm going to try to go to 40. And then I actually did. And then I was like, wow, I almost changed my own thoughts and views of this. So I think for JD, mentally he couldn't see himself there, and then maybe got scared because what happens when you get there? You've never been there before. Then you have to maintain it.
Yeah, and you lose excuses. You
don't have any more excuses. So who knows? I haven't talked to him, unfortunately, in so long. I don't know what his thought process was, but it just... I hope, maybe if he watched the show that maybe this will be a wake-up call for him. Yeah, and reignite him and get him to originally get to those goals that he originally wanted. So, all right. up next, Seth and Dave.
Yeah.
Seth is the only guy trainer on the show who is a yogi, and I loved it because all the guys are like tough, muscular and macho, and not that Seth is not muscular. He would, it was cute in the episode. He was like, these are yoga muscles. I got these muscles from yoga. But it was cool because when he was training his client Dave, not only did he do cardio, strength training, plyo, but we also seen him do the yoga, and I think that really helped the client psychologically.
Oh yeah.
Because you're meditating, you're breathing, and maybe that's something that I should have tried to do more with JD. But again, I had such a my client on the show was the biggest out of all the clients. Go figure. Yeah. I'm the smallest 5 feet, trainer on the show. But so for Seth, it was so cool that he was doing yoga with his client.
Yeah, and it's so mentally refreshing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and he had this big beard that everybody talked about. I thought at the end of his episode he was going to shave it, but he didn't. I guess that's like his trademark. But he did pack on the pounds and experienced kind of everything that we kind of went through. And our last episode, Tramel and Johnny and Jason, and I kind of joked with Tramel and I said, because my client quit, you had to pick up the slack, and they gave you 2 clients. But it was cool because none of us, I think they kind of kept it under wraps. We never, we didn't know that he was going to have 2. A little bit about Tramel. I don't know if he's from Georgia. I think he was. He had a little bit of an accent, but he newly married, him and his wife, best friends. They seem so cute together. And then he has these 2 clients who are in a relationship, Johnny and Jason, and they feel like, they wanted to lose weight together because they both really needed it. And it was interesting to see how they motivated each other and actually demotivated each other at the same time. So, they really had to learn how to push each other and not drag each other down. And what I loved about Tramel, and I did this in my episode, I ate so many donuts. And it was funny because Tramel ate a lot of donuts too. If clients were late when he was training them, he would make them bring him a box of donuts. And I would kind of do the same thing, except a lot of my clients, like I have a dessert chef, and a baker, and he would bring me cheesecake, New York style cheesecake.
That'll do it.
That will do it. So it was cool to see Tramel, pack on the pounds with the cake. And one thing they did show with Tramel, and I was really surprised, is Tramel would diary cam his cheating. He would break down and cheat. And I'm like, wow, he got some guts.
He got real.
But he did. He would put those Pop-Tarts in the oven and eat them. But it was interesting because, and I don't know if editing did this, the editors, when Tramel was showing himself, cheat, it seemed like that's when the clients, gained a couple ounces or didn't lose any weight. And I wonder if that affected them.
It definitely certainly could. So I don't know if it would.
But I wonder if they all kind of ran out of steam together. Yeah. Because they were going hard and losing a ton of weight. I wonder if that they were all kind of slowing down. And that's the beauty of this show, is that the trainer is going through the same thing as the clients. But I do like that they're on as a couple, because we see the importance of your relationships, whether it's friendships or more personal relationships, on your weight, and that people do the same things together. Yep. So if you're both not on the same page, you might go back home fit, and then all of a sudden you have that partner that's going to drag you back down. So it's so important to see them both on the show together. Yeah. So, but overall, Tramel actually didn't lose all the weight. I think he might have been like 10 pounds off or something. But what he took away from the situation is he was so by the books. He was a stickler. And then through this, he realized, you can let up and still be healthy. You can, you don't have to be, a certain body fat percentage and eat, clean 7 days a week. You need to enjoy life too. And I think for Tramel, he wasn't enjoying all of life because, like you were saying, sometimes you can be on the other end of fitness where you're like kind of almost neurotic about it. So it was nice to see him, although he didn't lose all the weight he gained, light up and be okay. I mean, he still looked great. So
yeah, it was like in college when I kind of realized, wait, this freshman 15, and I said, wait, there's this thing to nutrition.
Yeah.
I went on the relative diet, and I said, you know what, just do a little bit something better than you did the day before, and
like
that
that.
mentally really just helped. You know?
I like that a lot.
So.
Wow, so we got through the whole
Wow.
season,
Did we get
and
through 10?
I
Wow.
know, right? What a season it was. And I talked to Drew today, and he was telling me that they are, in works of season 2.
Oh, awesome.
So there will be a season 2. I will not be on season 2. I will not be gaining the weight. I will mentor anybody, or if they want me to train somebody but not gain the weight because I already did, my client quit on me, I will definitely do that. But I'm looking so forward to see the next round of newbies who have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
And we'll definitely be doing another special, or maybe we'll do an episode by episode for it. So
yeah, that would be awesome. And then, we might be doing a little tour this summer. We're kind of in the works of it. So, just continue to follow us online. You can follow me at fitwithfallon.com, at fitwithfallon on Instagram, and just keep posted. And if you want the program that I did for the show, to lose the weight, the nutrition program, the workout program, you can email me at fallonmercedes@yahoo.com, or just go to my website, hit the contact button, and no matter where you are in the U.S. or anywhere in the world, I can offer that to you and be your trainer.
And again, I'm Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shaka Strong. Please download us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. Leave your comments on YouTube and on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, you guys. You guys have been so supportive. Just people emailing me, commenting, saying how much of an inspiration I was. And although I didn't get my client JD to lose all the weight, it's nice to know that maybe this has inspired other people. So
Absolutely.
I am so grateful that I could do that. And thank you. And maybe we'll see you guys next season for the after show for Fit to Fat to Fit. Take care.
Have a good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.